In a strange turn of events during the Vietnam War, the Viet Cong army, along with the US military, is standing back to back, protecting each other's flanks against a new common enemy: the zombies of the Vietnam War, ranking in the millions, bloodthirsty and brain-hungry, wanting to death charge both the Viet Cong and US military forces. To start, we simply have 2,000 of Viet Cong and standard US Army riflemen here from Jamie D's brand new Vietnam War mod for Ultimate Epic Battle Simulator 2. And as you can see, the AK-47 wielding Viet Cong begin to spam fire against the oncoming zombies. And in this first battle, 2.5 million zombies are going to be attacking. However, this is just a preliminary fight for the US and the Vietnamese. After this battle, win or lose, the zombies will be getting millions of additional reinforcements into the battlefield. But Hueys will also bring in a multitude of US Army as well as Viet Cong reinforcements to try and help defend. Right now, the zombies are pressuring the living forces here and sending them backwards. These guys are on guard mode, but it seems like they're quickly getting swarmed, so they're not going to be able to really enact any sort of a retreat. And in fact, the first of these Vietnam soldiers are dead. Now 2, now 5, now 6, they are exponentially dying. This is not good, with 3,000 dead zombies on the battlefield. So it seems like Jamie D made the Vietnam zombies a little bit more powerful than we're used to. Okay, these troopers here that are more skeletonized have 300 health. The GIs over here, which look amazing, have 800 health, which makes sense. They might have some ballistic armor and stuff like that. And then let's see the other side, which are the North Vietnamese zombies. These guys have 666 health. Oh lord, what a number! So those guys are sort of the middle ground. These are the weak ones, the skeletons, and then the GIs are the stronger ones. And it seems like they are going to be strong enough to defeat 2,000 Vietnam War soldiers here very, very soon. But I'm hoping as we bring in reinforcements, and there will be amazing reinforcements. Jamie ended up doing US pilots, US snipers, Viet Cong machine gunners, etc., etc. A huge plethora of variety for our units here, so it should be really, really incredible to see. So I'm hoping with those reinforcements inbound, we can see ourselves a little bit more successful than right now, where we are getting absolutely decimated by the incoming zombies. A quarter of our living units have already died, with only 1,500 about remaining, and they've gotten about 10,000 kills. So each soldier has gotten about 20 kills per trooper, which isn't too bad, but obviously not going to be enough to defeat these zombie armies here. So why don't we go ahead and time-lapse the end of this first battle and get the real battle underway once these living troopers have died out. What's up, gamers? I'm here to tell you about Instant Gaming. Instant Gaming is an amazing place where you can get some fire deals on all sorts of video games. Seriously, it's like 60 to 95% off, as you can see here. These are all of the Star Wars titles they have. They literally have every Star Wars title. You can also get XCOM here, Men of War Assault Squad 2. All of the games I play on the channel you can buy here for extremely cheap prices. If you use my affiliate link in the description, it helps me out a ton. So thank you guys for listening to this sponsorship, and thank you to Instant Gaming for continuing to sponsor the channel. Alright, the last few of the living forces here are dying out. It's actually a mix of US Army and Viet Cong soldiers, like 50-50, so that kind of worked out well for us. But they only end up getting 20,000 kills out of their 2,000 men, so about 10 kills a pop. As they started to die, they started to get less and less kills. But that's okay, they still ended up doing pretty decently. Let's go ahead and pull in those additional units, buff their defenses, and then we're also going to be buffing the Vietnam War zombies as well. Let's get that. Alright, we got 7 million zombies versus 40,000 defending units this time around. So over here we have PPSH gunners for the Vietnamese, as well as US military pilots who are using Thompson guns right there, so it must be early Vietnam War pilots. Back this way we have some Viet Cong AK-47 troopers, different than the ones we saw previously. Up top here we have some of these RPD troopers. I think it's an RPD. That's the most units we have, is 20,000 of those fellas. Then to their left over here, we've got snipers. So we have US Marine snipers here, as well as Viet Cong snipers over this way. Then in front of these fellas, we have the Vietnamese soldiers and US Army soldiers we saw last time around. Now, they are surrounded in this little jungle peninsula with a huge number of zombies, 7 million to be exact, and we're gonna get right on into this thing here. You can see the fire down in the trees below already as the zombies begin pushing forward. This is definitely going to be a battle of choke points, and we need 2 choke points to fully hold out here. This one over here, and then the sniper one over that way. Over there, we've got the PPSH gunners who are getting very good spam fire out, roasting these zombies extremely early on. Look at this. They're getting thousands of kills already. Beautiful. However, there's a few spots like over here where this hill will actually protect most of the zombies while they come forward. You can see them actually getting some hits on some of these US military pilots over here because the zombies are protected for so long before they actually get up to the front line. These pilots have to kind of scramble to fire at them, so that's not good for them. They're having a tough time over here, and the left side, where there isn't that hill blockading, these guys are having a much better time, but of course the other side will definitely impact them as well. Further back here, these AK-47 troopers are firing a little bit, so maybe they can help bridge that gap in the US pilot lines that are straight ahead of us over this way. That would be good to see. Behind them, the machine gunners aren't doing anything, and over here, the zombies are just now getting forward enough for these guys to start firing at them. There we go, the first of them dying, and these are actually the GI zombies. There's a very large rock in the way over here, so that's going to prevent a lot of these Vietnamese soldiers from firing through that rock into the zombies. So again, the zombies will have a nice bit of cover for their initial charge over here. They might be able to get nice and close to these guys over here, especially because these are the GI zombies that have 800 health or whatever, so they're pretty powerful, and you can see they're actually swooping on in here through the jungle and getting very close to these Vietnam soldiers. This is going to be bad for these guys. Either way, Jamie D also made the UN soldiers mod, which is one of my all-time favorites, as well as like the USSR soldiers, a lot of Civil War soldiers, I believe. He made US Army soldiers, US Marine soldiers of modern day. He straight up has some of my favorite mods in all of Ultimate Epic Battle Simulator 2, so I highly recommend checking him out on the Steam Workshop. He is an absolute legend in this community, still updating Ultimate Epic Battle Simulator 2 mods, keeping the game alive, so huge shout out to him and all the modders out there who are keeping this game alive. I think they're done updating it pretty much for good. At least that's what it seems like. And so, you know, it's really up to the modding community to continue the legacy. I have no idea if they're ever going to release an Ultimate Epic Battle Simulator 3. Part of me thinks probably not. Because Ultimate Epic Battle Simulator 2 already has soldiers in the millions, unless they can somehow get their tech to work with the hundreds of millions, which would be really cool, or the billions even. But I just don't know if they're going to be able to do that. It would be super cool if they could, but, you know, already once you hit kind of like that 10 million mark, at least with my computer, which is a pretty darn good computer, then you start really generating a lot of lag. So I just don't see it really improving from here, but you never know. Either way, Vietnamese soldiers over this way are starting to get overrun a little bit. It's not just the GIs they're dealing with. There's also some of those skeletonized zombies, which are the weaker ones, so at least there's that. But a lot of them are the GIs. The snipers back here should be firing, and yes, they are. Beautiful. Well done, boys. Hopefully they can get some serious kills in this thing. And the machine gunners are still quiet on this front. Currently, we have about 70,000 kills on the zombies, although we only have 6.2 million zombies left, so I have a feeling probably a bunch spawned in water or something like that and died due to that. And we've got 42,000 remaining U.S. Army as well as Vietnamese soldiers on the battlefield. I think it was supposed to be 45,000 exactly were supposed to spawn in, but again, I think another 3,000 probably died due to the water or something like that, and so that leaves us with our number now. Either way, the pilots over here and the submachine gunners are having a tough time. The zombies are kind of getting through them pretty heartily now on this side of the jungle, so I'm not sure if they'll last for much longer, but let's go ahead and time-lapse this jungle battle over here. Alright, I thought this was going to be a bit more of a desperate defense, but they're actually holding it together over here a bit better as the zombies have come further in, which is great, because if they had capitulated super fast, it would have been way more problematic. But they seem to be getting things together a bit more. Could have to do with these AK-47 troopers firing more and more back here. This is jungle warfare, so it's a little hard to see through all of the terrain, but still, we can see the zombies coming in very hard over this way, but the backup fire from those AKs is definitely striking down a lot more of them, which is very, very nice. Over this way, let's see if we're doing okay over here. We need this end to definitely hold up better. These guys are doing great. And these guys over here are actually doing pretty well against the GIs themselves, too. Okay, that's good. Not bad. All right. We just need the back to keep alive over here, or else we'll be cooked. But this side of the peninsula is doing well. This side not as well, but you know what? There's still promise. You know, there's promise out here for better days. I guess we'll keep time-lapsing over here, since this is kind of the problem child area with the U.S. pilots and the submachine gunners not doing as well. We'll watch them going down slowly, but we've got just about 6 million zombies remaining and 38,600 U.S. Army and Viet Cong soldiers remaining. These guys are still holding on, though a major portion of them is dead at this point, so it's probably not going to be too much longer. I'm guessing we have some attacks over here, too? No, not really. These guys are still kind of chilling. Looks like the zombies are more so diverting to the PPSH soldiers still alive on the other side. But, yeah, they're not long for this world, but I'm happy that they at least survived for a while. Let's go to the other side here and see how we're doing. These guys are doing actually way better. They must just be stronger units overall over here, even though they're going up against harder units like the GI soldiers. So I don't know why they're doing so much better, but yeah, they must just be stronger overall. And then the U.S. Army forces over here are doing great, and that's because they're only having to deal with the skeletonized zombies, and these guys are the weakest of the zombies. So the Vietnam soldiers over here are dealing with the strongest of the zombies. So that also kind of makes sense, but they're still holding great. And also, the fact that they have the snipers backing them up must really help. These guys have 500 health, but how much damage are they doing on a daily? 50, just about. I'm guessing that's body shots. And then how much damage do we get with these guys? I can't hit a shot because this game has horrible actual shots. 80 damage. Come on. 40 damage. Okay, so they do a little bit less with a body shot, but I feel like snipers should do way more. Like 100 damage with a body shot, maybe. But I don't know. Honestly, this seems pretty well balanced by Jamie D. He did a good job here so far, so I'm not going to complain. This is pretty great, I will say. I'm glad to have another faction in Ultimate Epic Battle Simulator 2 for us to utilize, because we haven't had one in a while, and this one is pretty freaking awesome. So we currently have 7,000 dead living soldiers, I guess. And then 414,000 dead zombie soldiers. Let's watch the actual downfall of these guys. These bozos are almost gonzo, which is fantastical. Over this way, there's so many bushes and leaves and crap. These guys are still untouched, and they've just been free firing into the zombies, so I'm curious to see how they'll end up doing when they actually have to defend against the zombies directly. Will the zombies be able to reach them or not? That would really decide the fate of this side of the battlefield. If these guys can hold out for a very long time and build up a body pile, we could be seeing some big things going forward. On the opposite side, it looks like zombies have torn through a few of these guys, but the body pile's growing pretty big, so these guys are doing better overall, I would say. And snipers on the opposite side still pouring fire out there, which is very good to see. So why don't we time-lapse from here? And, well, that might be a little too far away. Maybe from down here, and we could watch the zombies sort of tumbling down after them and, you know, getting closer and killing some of these North Vietnamese soldiers over here. We have 5.5 million zombies currently remaining and 35,000 living soldiers remaining. These guys over here are continuing to hold out really, really nicely. We are up to 10,000 deaths for the defenders, meaning 33,700 are still alive on the battlefield, so not too bad. However, that number is still going up, so there is the potential for disaster later on. Here's our AK-47 units. They do seem to be holding back the zombies, but the zombies are getting closer over this way, so definitely danger looming on the horizon over here. Why don't we try and find an angle through the jungle to watch? You better run through the jungle, baby. Alright, this looks pretty cool. You can get the close-up of this guy here and watch the zombies on the left, the guys on the right defending. Very nice, let's see. Actually, a really good time lapse right there. Like 15 minutes or so, and only we were at 9,800 or something, so only like 160 soldiers ended up dying during that time. Meanwhile, there's only 4.7 million zombies left alive. So we're actually looking fairly on track here for a Vietnamese /US Army victory against the Army of the Dead. We love to see it. I'm gonna let this just kind of ride for a bit here, but yeah, we'll check it out in maybe like 45 minutes to an hour, and I'll keep an eye on it. Alright, me boyos, it has been an hour now, and we have 3.1 million zombies remaining, and still 32,000 soldiers remaining for the defenders. So only about 2,000 more defenders ended up dying. We have 11,200 deaths for them. They're still getting a death here and there, but it's nowhere near as bad as in the beginning. This line is holding up nicely. There's like some weird cracks forming in it. I think as the body piles raise up, they kind of spread out the troops, and that's not very good. It doesn't make for a very solid defensive line, but hopefully they can still hold. I mean, they are still holding, though every once in a while one of these soldiers does end up getting bit and dies out. So not great, not the worst thing ever. Again, there's still 3 million zombies left, so they are below their halfway point. But that being said, you know, they could still win this. They very well could. It just all kind of depends. Why don't we go ahead and do a nice little overhead time-lapse over here for like half an hour and just watch this space being attacked by the zombies with the North Vietnamese defending over this way. Ruh-roh, Raggy. We've got a little bit of a boost in the zombie lines here. They've pushed back against the North Vietnamese soldiers right here. Almost reaching the snipers over this way. Look at the body piles. That's crazy. I don't know what boosted them over here, but zombies all of a sudden have 15,280 kills. The defenders have 3.5 million. And there are still 1.9 million zombies remaining on the battlefield. So the zombies could actually maybe pull a W from the clutches here, as they've all of a sudden started to get a lot more kills on the battlefield. Good for them, bad for the defenders. Over here, this body pile is growing. Are the machine gunners even involved? Yes, they are. Okay. These guys up here are in fact firing now. It took them a while to actually get going here, but they're going. They're going. Let's watch over here as this hillside has zombies toppling over it. It's definitely a different kind of battlefield than we've done. We've never really done this jungle map too often. I think maybe 1 or 2 videos max, because it's just a hard terrain to establish battlefields on, because you can't really see underneath the canopy tree for where everyone is. However, in this case, it works really well because it's Vietnam. You know, it just makes sense. Where did we land? What the hey? Okay, sorry. Let's where is this? Where we were? Honestly, not sure. Also got random AK troopers up this way, which is kind of funny. Yeah, let's watch the zombies coming in from the left over to the right side over here. 1.95 million zombies remain. 28,000 defenders remain. Okay, the defense is currently being maintained here after another 20 minutes. We've got 25,000 remaining defenders and 1.4 million remaining zombies. Why don't we watch this angle now as the zombies continue to make some progress into the sniper lines, specifically on the right side, and we'll watch them coming into the left side. The zombies have taken another big bite through enemy lines here, literally. But there's only 940,000 of them remaining, so they are depleted below 1 million zombies. I am seeing a lot more of the US grunts here, which again are the most powerful zombie type out there, so that might be why they're starting to get more kills, because the rest of them are dead, so it's just their strongest units remaining. They're going up against the US Marine snipers over here, but all of the Viet Cong snipers over this way are dead. We've still got a ton of machine gunners back here. Actually, I think all of them, except over this way, these AK-47 troopers are starting to dwindle as well. So these machine gunners might start getting flanked from both sides of their little area here, and that could be problematic for sure. But I think the biggest danger right now for the survivors are these guys over here. I think this is probably going to go down relatively soon, so let's watch this area. 20,900 remaining defenders and 916,000 zombies remaining. Okay, this entire unit has now been wiped out, so it is up to the machine gunners on this side. And it looks like over here, these AK wielders are still doing okay. There's 19,300 living forces left alive and 600,000 zombies. Pretty crazy, but it seems like the machine gunners are going to have their work cut out for them. Look at this narrow little gap. Let's watch this for a while. Weirdly, the zombies have stopped coming forward this way. They're completely done over here, it looks like. They're just coming from over here with 400,000 remaining. And the battle lines over here have not changed in a while. That's crazy, dude. So they've got 19,000 defenders still left alive, 431,000 zombies left alive. Let's just let it ride for a bit, because this is it's gonna take a while since they're getting funneled just through here. Yeah, this could take a minute. And there we go. The battling seems to have stopped, and we have a victor. The land of the living lives again. Honestly, it seems like, you know, once this stopped, it was just this front over here, and these guys got pushed pretty far back, but they managed to hold it together. The machine gunners were kind of barely part of this battle until the very, very bitter end. And I don't even know if they were needed, because we had, well, they probably were. But the AK guys, they still lived, but they're the only other unit to live on. So we ended up with 17,000 remaining Vietnam War soldiers left alive at the end of this thing. Thank you again to Jamie D for making this mod. Absolute legend. Thank you guys for watching. Be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and comment down below. I'll see you on the next one. Peace. I hope you guys enjoyed that video. Be sure to click that subscribe button for more content, and hit the notification bell if you'd like to be alerted to whenever I live stream or upload. Thanks so much.